Hello everyone, welcome to the session on helicopter dynamics. I am Professor Srinidhi. This video will be discussing about momentum theory analysis in hovering flight. The contents of this video is introduction, flow near a hovering rotor, notations used during the analysis, conservation laws of aerodynamics, application to the hovering rotor, induced velocity and rotor power. The helicopter or any other rotating wing vehicle must operate in a variety of flight regimes. These include hover, climb, descent or forward flight. The helicopter may undergo maneuvers also, which may comprise a combination of these basic flight regimes. In hover or during hovering or during axial flight, the flow is axisymmetric and the flow through the rotor is either upward or downward. Basic performance of the rotor can be analyzed by a simpler approach that has become known as Rankine-Froude momentum theory. The momentum theory approach allows the derivation of a first order prediction of the rotor thrust and power. Flow near a hovering rotor. Here the rotor has 0 forward speed and 0 vertical speed, that is no climb or no descent. They are azimuthally axisymmetric. Here there is no jump in velocity across the disk, although because a thrust is produced on the rotor, there must be a jump in pressure over the rotor disk. The existence of a wake boundary, as you can see in the image, or slipstream is apparent, with the flow velocity outside this boundary being relatively quiescent. The flow velocities are substantial and may be distributed non-uniformly across the split stream, and also the contraction in the diameter of the wake below the rotor corresponding to an increase in the slipstream velocity. So this image which you can see is the measurements of the velocity field in a diametric plane near and below a two-bladed rotor operating in hover. Next, for momentum theory analysis, some of the main notations used are capital S. It is the control volume surrounding the rotor and its wake having a surface area. So capital S is the surface area. Next, capital V is a local velocity, which is a vector unit. The rho, it is the density of the fluid. Density of the fluid means the rotors, the helicopter will be operating in your atmosphere. So density of the atmospheric air. Capital F, it is the net force on the fluid. Net force applied by these rotors on the fluid. W, work done on the fluid by the rotors. Capital A, it is the rotor disk area. The loop symbol, the infinity symbol, it is the position at the far wake or vena contra region. It is the plane of the vena contra region. Next is omega, velocity in the far wake or in the vena contra region. Capital T, it is the rotor thrust. Next, Vi, it is the induced velocity in the plane of the rotor. So these are some of the major notations used in the momentum theory analysis. derivation. Conservation laws of aerodynamics. In the general approach to the problem of hovering, it will be assumed that the flow through the rotor is unidirectional, one dimensional, quasi steady, incompressible, and inviscid. First, we will consider it as an ideal fluid, that is one that generates no viscous shear between the fluid elements. Therefore, induced loss are the sole source of losses in the fluid, with other losses resulting from the action of viscosity being assumed negligible. Consider a hover problem. There is hovering. Let the control volume surrounding the rotor and its wake have a surface area S. Let a differential of S ds be the unit normal area vector, that is outward facing normal. You can see the arrow mark ds, it is a vector unit. So it is by convention always points out of the control volume across the surface S. So the boundary is your slipstream. A general equation governing the conservation of fluid mass applied to this finite control volume can be written as equation governing the conservation of fluid mass. It can be written as in double integration from S rho into V into differentiation of S, that's equal to 0, where V is the local vector and rho is the density of the fluid. Inference is, this equation states that the mass flow into the control volume must equal the mass flow out of the control volume. What you have to observe here is the basic conservation laws are conservation of mass, conservation of momentum, and conservation of energy. The first point we have discussed is conservation of mass. Here the mass is with respect to the fluid in the region S. Similarly, an equation governing the conservation of fluid momentum is written as F is equal to double integration rho ds plus double integration rho v into ds whole into v. For an unconstrained flow, the net pressure force on the fluid inside the control volume is 0. Therefore, the net force on the fluid F is simply equal to the rate of change with time of the fluid momentum across the control surface S. Third one, an equation governing the conservation of energy in the flow can be written as W is equal to double integration S 1 by 2 into rho V ds into V square. So this is the concept of the conservation laws of aerodynamics. Here the conservation of energy equation, conservation of energy of the flow equation, this last equation states simply that the work done on the fluid by the rotor manifests as a gain in kinetic energy of the fluid in the rotor slipstream per unit time. It is a scalar unit since it is W. Next is the application of this conservation laws of aerodynamics to the hovering rotor. Application to a hovering rotor. So there are three general equations of fluid mass, momentum, and energy conservation now can be applied to the specific problem of a hovering helicopter rotor. During the hovering condition, we have to apply these previous laws of conservation of mass, momentum, and energy equation. Here in the previous image, the rotor disc area is denoted by A. We have discussed this before. Then cross section 1 and 2 are the planes just above and below the rotor disc, and the far wake is denoted by the cross section, the loop infinity symbol. At the plane of the rotor, assume that the velocity is Vi, that is the induced velocity or velocity imparted to the mass of air contained in the control volume at the rotor disc. In the far wake, that is in the vena contra region, the velocity will be increased over that at the plane of the rotor, and this velocity is denoted by omega or W. Now what we have to do is we have to assume that the flow is quasi-steady, and by the principle of the conservation of mass, the mass flow rate m dot is it must be constant within the boundary of the rotor wake. Therefore, mass flow rate m dot is given by double integration at the vena contra region rho into V into differentiation of S, that's equal to double integration at the plane 2 cross section 2 rho into V into ds. So it should be constant mass flow rate. And now what you have to do is assume that it is one dimensional incompressible flow. This reduces the equation to m dot is equal to rho a into omega. Here a, it can be at the vena contra region, or it can be at the second plane, second cross section 2 region. In general, rho a into vi. The principle of conservation of fluid momentum gives the relation between rotor thrust T and the net time rate of change of fluid momentum out of the control volume, that is Newton's second law. The rotor thrust is equal and opposite to the force on the fluid, which is given by opposite to the force. Note that it is opposite to the force on the fluid. That means minus F, that's equal to T thrust, that's equal to double integration at vena contra region rho into V ds into V minus double integration at the topmost region rho into V into ds into V. As in hovering flight, the velocity well upstream of the rotor is quiescent, the second term on the right hand side of the above equation is 0. The second term, that is double integration at the region at the cross section 0. Therefore, for hovering problem, the rotor thrust can be written as a scalar equation T is equal to double integration at vena contra region rho into V ds into V, that's equal to m dot into omega, m dot into W. So this gives you a scalar equation. Next is the third principle of conservation. From the principle of conservation of energy, the work done on the rotor is equal to the gain in energy of the fluid per unit time. The work done per unit time or the power consumed by the rotor is given by T into Vi, TVI, and the equation is TVI is equal to double integration at vena contra region 1 by 2 rho V ds into V square minus double integration the cross section 0 1 by 2 into rho into V ds into V square. Once again, in hover condition, the second term on the right hand side of this above equation will be equal to 0. Then you get the similar to the previous equation, you get T into Vi is equal to 1 by 2 m dot omega square. The resulting equation from this equation and the previous equation, that is from T into m dot omega and the previous equation, we get Vi, that is induced velocity, is equal to half of omega, or omega is equal to 2 Vi. So this gives a simple relationship between induced velocity in the plane of the rotor and the velocity omega in the vena contra region. Next is at slipstream, for the conservation of this mass between the rotor and the vena contra region, you get the equation rho A into Vi is equal to rho A V at vena contra region. Because the flow velocity increases the wake below the rotor, continuity considerations require that the area of the slipstream must decrease. This is we can observe this in the previous equations. It follows from the conservation of fluid mass between the rotor and the vena contra region. That is, you get the equation rho A Vi, that's equal to rho A into omega at vena contra region, that is omega is equal to 2 Vi. So you get 2 rho A Vi. Next concept of this momentum theory analysis is induced velocity. From previous equations, it has been shown that the momentum theory can be used to relate the rotor thrust to the induced velocity at the rotor disc by using the equation, that is T is equal to m dot omega is equal to m dot 2 Vi. You get this equation by substituting this m dot equation, that's equal to 2 rho A Vi square. Now rearranging this equation, you get the equation for induced velocity at the plane of the rotor disc. Vi is equal to square root of T by A into 1 by 2 rho. Here you can observe that Vi, a new term, that is Vh, that is notation for induced velocity during hovering. And also you can observe that T by A is written in separate bracket, which is known as disk loading. Next is the concept of rotor power. The power required to hover is given by the following equation. Here the power required, or the time rate of work done by the rotor on the fluid per unit thrust, that is P is equal to, you know it obviously, T into Vi, that's here during the hovering, T into Vh. Vh equation, you take it from the previous equation, that's equal to T to the power 3 by 2 divided by square root of 2 rho A. This power is called ideal power, which is entirely induced in nature because the contribution of viscous effects have not been considered in the present level of analysis. And an alternate equation is P is equal to TVI. Here that's equal to 2 m dot Vi square. Here m dot again you have to substitute, that's you get the equation is equal to 2 rho A Vi cube. So this concludes the momentum theory analysis during hovering. This session what we have discussed is momentum theory analysis. What is momentum theory analysis? The region of velocity field in a dimetric plane, then its slipstream as the boundary. Then we have discussed is conservation laws of aerodynamics. There are three conservation laws, that is conservation of mass, conservation of momentum, and conservation of energy. So you get the three equation. By substituting these three equation, you get the formula. When you apply this to the hovering rotor problem, you get the equation, simple scalar equation of the induced velocity, omega is equal to 2 Vi. And then also during the rotor slipstream you get an equation. Then during induced velocity you get Vh, that is during the hovering problem, Vh is equal to square root of T by A into 1 by 2 rho. Then rotor power, you get two equation, P is equal to T to the power 3 by 2 by square root of 2 rho A, and an alternate equation is P is equal to 2 rho A Vi cube. So this concludes with our session. If you have any doubt, you can comment below. and also subscribe to the channel. Thank you.